Imagine two cities, gleaming like jewels in the sun-drenched plains of the Jordan Valley. Sodom and Gomorrah. From a distance, they were the picture of prosperity, bustling with trade, their fields green and fertile, their storehouses overflowing. People from all around would look upon them with envy, thinking, "This is paradise on earth." But as with many things that glitter, not all was gold. A darkness had taken root within their walls, a sickness of the soul that had spread from house to house, street to street, until the very air seemed heavy with it. In the midst of this, lived one man and his family. His name was Lot. He was a righteous man, a stranger in a strange land, who had chosen this place for its earthly riches. Every day, Lot's heart ached. He saw the cruelty, the selfishness, the complete disregard for kindness and decency. He saw the poor turned away, the traveler mocked and abused, the vulnerable preyed upon. He saw people who had become so consumed by their own desires that they had forgotten what it meant to be human, to be compassionate. His spirit was tormented by the lawless deeds he saw and heard day after day. He prayed, hoping for a change, but the cities only spiraled deeper into their own corruption. Meanwhile, high above the world of men, a conversation was taking place. The outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah had reached the heavens. It was a cry of pain, of injustice, a cry that could no longer be ignored. God, seeing the depth of their wickedness, resolved to see for himself if the reports were true. And so, two messengers, appearing as ordinary men, were dispatched. Their destination Sodom. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the valley, the two visitors arrived at the city gates. It was there that Lot saw them. He was sitting at the gate, a common place to greet travelers and hear the day's news. He didn't see divine beings, he saw weary travelers, strangers in a city known for its hostility. His heart, still soft and compassionate, went out to them. He immediately stood up, bowed low, and pleaded with them, "My lords, please, turn aside to your servant's house. You can wash your feet and spend the night, and then go on your way early in the morning." He knew the dangers that lurked in the city's streets after dark. He knew what could happen to outsiders. The visitors initially declined, saying they would spend the night in the square. But Lot insisted. He urged them so strongly that they finally relented and went with him to his home. He prepared a feast for them, a symbol of hospitality in a city that had forgotten its meaning. He gave them the best he had, offering them safety and shelter under his own roof. But the peace of the evening was about to be shattered. Before the household had even settled down for the night, a sinister noise began to grow outside. It started as a murmur, then grew into a chant, and soon became a roar. The men of the city, both young and old, from every part of Sodom, had surrounded Lot's house. They were a terrifying mob, their faces twisted with malice. They pounded on the door, their voices dripping with menace. "Where are the men who came to you tonight?" they yelled. "Bring them out to us." Lot's blood ran cold. The very evil he had tried to protect his guests from was now beating down his door. Trembling, he went outside, closing the door behind him to shield his guests. He faced an angry crowd, his heart pounding in his chest. "No, my friends," he begged, "please, don't do this wicked thing. Don't defile the sanctity of hospitality." In his desperation, in a moment of terrible and flawed judgment, Lot made a horrifying offer. He offered his own two daughters to the mob, pleading with them to leave his guests alone. It was a choice born of panic, a desperate attempt to uphold his sacred duty to protect those under his roof, even at an unthinkable cost to his own family. But the mob was not interested. Their rage was not about desire, it was about power, about brutalizing the stranger, about asserting their dominance. They jeered at him. "This fellow came here as an outsider, and now he wants to play the judge," they screamed. "We'll treat you worse than them." They surged forward, intent on breaking down the door and seizing Lot himself. Suddenly, the door swung open. Strong hands pulled Lot back inside to safety. And then, a brilliant, blinding flash of light erupted from the doorway. The men of the mob cried out, stumbling backward, their hands flying to their faces. They were struck with blindness, groping and flailing in the sudden darkness, unable to find the door they had been about to smash. The divine power of the visitors had been revealed. Inside, the reality of the situation crashed down upon Lot. The visitors turned to him, their voices now filled with divine authority. "Get your family and leave this place at once," they commanded. "We are going to destroy this city. The outcry against its people is so great that the Lord has sent us to destroy it." Lot's mind reeled. He rushed out into the night, finding the men who were engaged to marry his daughters. He frantically tried to explain the impending doom. "Hurry! Get up and leave this city, because the Lord is about to destroy it." But they just laughed at him. They thought he was joking, that he had lost his mind. How could this glorious city, so full of life and wealth, be on the verge of destruction? It was unthinkable. As dawn began to break, painting the sky in shades of pink and orange, the heavenly messengers grew urgent. "Hurry," they said to Lot. "Take your wife and your 2 daughters who are here, or you too will be swept away when the city is punished." But Lot hesitated. He was frozen. This was his home. Everything he owned was here. His mind struggled to grasp the reality, to leave behind a life he had built, even a flawed one. He lingered, paralyzed by indecision. Seeing his hesitation, and with time running out, the messengers took matters into their own hands. They grabbed Lot by the hand, and his wife, and his 2 daughters. They physically led them, almost dragging them, safely out of the city. It was an act of sheer mercy. "Flee for your lives," one of them commanded, his voice echoing with finality. "Don't look back, and don't stop anywhere in the plain. Flee to the mountains or you will be swept away." And then it began. As the sun rose over the land, the Lord rained down fire from the heavens. It wasn't ordinary fire. It was a storm of burning sulfur, a terrifying, supernatural torrent of destruction. It fell upon Sodom and it fell upon Gomorrah, and upon all the cities of the plain. It consumed everything. The beautiful buildings, the lush fields, the bustling markets, and all the people who lived there. Everything was incinerated in a storm of divine judgment. The sounds of a thriving metropolis were replaced by the roar of flames and the hiss of superheated stone. Lot and his daughters ran, their hearts pounding with terror, the heat of the cataclysm at their backs. They ran without stopping, the command to not look back ringing in their ears. But Lot's wife, her heart still tied to the life she was leaving, to the home she had known, couldn't resist. Perhaps it was disbelief, perhaps it was regret, or perhaps just a longing for what was lost. She slowed, she turned, and she looked back at the burning city. In that instant, her fate was sealed. The very elements of the judgment that consumed the city claimed her as well. She became a pillar of salt, a silent, stark monument on the edge of the desolation, a timeless warning about the danger of looking back, of a heart divided. Lot and his daughters made it to the mountains. They survived. But they were left with nothing but the memory of fire and a world turned to ash. From the safety of a cave, they could look down upon the valley. Where once there had been life and vibrant cities, there was now only thick smoke rising from the land, like the smoke from a furnace. The paradise had become a wasteland. The story of Sodom and Gomorrah is a chilling, emotional tale. It's a story of a society that lost its way, a people who allowed their hearts to grow so hard that they forgot kindness, mercy, and hospitality. But it is also a story of rescue, of the desperate, last-minute salvation of one family from the brink of disaster. It leaves us with a powerful, haunting image, a pillar of salt standing against a smoldering landscape, a testament to the consequences of our choices and a solemn reminder to never look back. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, please like, share, and subscribe for more tales from history and legend.